everyone, and welcome to episode 7 of the Risky Rollers podcast. I'm Dalton. This week I'm joined by Locky.
Hello, everybody.
And Billy from Greater Good Miniatures Games.
Hey, everybody. What's going on?
So this week we're chatting to Billy, and we're talking a bit about the importance of community in the hobby and what it's like taking an active role in shaping it and keeping it going. And before we get right into that, I have a couple of quick plugs to go through. Of course, Dice Arcade, you can use the code RiskyRollers to get an additional discount at checkout for any miniatures products. And then, as well as that, if you want to chat with us, you can check out our Discord. We've got loads of stuff going on there, including something we've just started doing, which are regular like hobby hangouts and actually streaming some of that directly to the Discord. And you can jump into our Patreon if you'd like to help us out there. And check out our Instagram for all the upcoming bits and pieces we're working on, pictures of cool minis, and anything else that's coming up. And I'll also mention here as well, our guest today is Billy from Greater Good Miniature Gaming, so check out his channel as well. He does some great stuff over there. I've been enjoying his I can speak English very well today. Enjoying his Conquest reviews, as well as some of his more recent stuff. Looking at, was it the Lego Batmobile you're building recently?
Yeah, it's kind of weird. Like, every now and then I'll just chuck in something completely random.
Yeah, well, it's really refreshing because, I mean, we're all hobbyists in miniatures gaming, but we've also got other things we do as well, so it's really great to see some of that coming in.
Yeah, that is really cool to see, because I'm pretty heavy into Lego too, so I saw that and I was like, oh, this is pretty awesome.
I think... Oh, really? I feel like something we might all have in common that we didn't really think about too much.
Yeah.
I suppose it's a good way to go. What's everyone been working on recently, hobby-wise?
I've done nothing. I'm not gonna lie. I haven't done much. Sorry, no. I finished a Dread Knight. That's it.
Nice.
Painted a Dread Knight from scratch. So I did that in a week. So that was, which came out pretty good. But aside from that, nothing. But I've got 2 weeks off now, so I'll be heavy into Sisters moving forward.
Sweet. How about you, Billy? Been up to much?
I'm kind of a bit of like a binge hobbyist, so I kind of jump from project to project.
Yeah.
So other than working on a whole bunch of Mortal Realms,
Yep.
which is
that's the magazine they currently do.
Yeah, so it's the AOS version of Conquest.
Nice.
All right. So is that just one faction they feature, or is it like, because Conquest was just
Conquest
Death Guard,
was
right?
Death Guard and Space Marines.
Okay, right.
Mortal Realms is your Stormcast and Night Haunts.
Right.
But see, I would have gone there. I actually started Conquest with their premium subscription, but that went really bad because, reasons. Just wasn't. I've been through this in videos before, and it just ends up me complaining. But it was terrible. I'm not the only one who had issues. Anyway, but in Australia and New Zealand, they didn't do the premium version of the Mortal Realms here, which was really was really bad. I was actually really disappointed because in the premium boxes they were doing for Mortal Realms were other armies.
Like
is that kind of what they're doing with the
Imperium
Imperium?
magazine,
Yeah, I was going to say, is it the same sort of thing they're doing with that, right?
Yeah, so there was vampire counts, orcs, the corn guys, can't remember what they're called, and was it Slanesh, I think? I can't quite remember what the 4 were. But yeah, they were like almost starter box levels of premium content that we just missed out on.
So let me get. I know you don't want it to be a little bit of a rant on that, but I have no idea what you're talking about regarding the premium stuff. So can you actually tell us about it?
So
because there may be some other people listening that actually have no idea about it either. So
okay, so their premium boxes were, by the time we got it here in Australia, it was already well behind. So the rules were, so the premium boxes came with battle cards. So, like, your actual data cards for your units from the previous 20 issues.
They're a real handy really handy gaming aid that I wish they did for 40k.
Yeah, well, they were doing it, but only in the premium boxes. But by
Right.
the time we got it, it was outdated.
Was that?
Like,
Yeah,
it
redundant
started
by
in-
that point, right? Yeah.
Yeah, it started in 8th, then 9th came out, and they were just like, oh. So it was already kind of out by then. It was dice, and then a hard cardboard version of the battle mats they were giving out in the actual magazine issues, which are really cool. I've still got. They were probably the best bit about the whole thing. The really thick, heavy cardboard, double-sided.
Is that the same one
Right.
that's in that the recruit box or like those boxes, that style?
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah. So that was really cool, but the thing was, it was an extra $3 on top of every issue.
Okay, which adds up quite quickly when there's 50-something issues.
Yeah, for something that you couldn't really use all of, and then it would be months late.
So was
Yeah.
this month? Was this weekly magazine release?
So if you went to the news agencies, it was weekly. If you were
Mhm.
doing it directly through the post, as I was with them, with the company doing it, it was every 5 weeks.
Wow.
Right. And would they send you like those
4
5 weeks
issues,
altogether?
yeah.
Oh, right. Okay. Sorry. I was like, what do you
So it
mean? So
wasn't-
you're just like super delayed and you're getting one every 5 weeks?
Well, technically you were really delayed with it because everyone else would be going to the news agency grabbing those issues, and you'd be sitting
Yeah.
there waiting.
Yeah,
So
right.
I was getting double. So I was going to a news agency and getting my issues while I was waiting for them to send stuff out
Wow. Okay.
because I just wanted the premium boxes for the channel.
Right,
Fair
yeah.
enough. Yeah.
There
That's
was
a bit
also
annoying.
every couple of issues too, they would throw in gifts, but they were really useless. And magazine binders, like the double hole punch
Yep.
binders to
Mm.
put the magazines in. They were cool, but
I
again,
mean, they're handy if you're collecting 50-something magazines from this
80.
thing. 80. Wow.
Wow.
Yeah. Don't get me wrong, the last couple of issues are fantastic, but yeah, it got to the point where it's like sometimes nothing would ever turn up. You'd call them 4 or 5 times, which, mind you, even though they have offices here in Australia, you still had to call within UK
Right.
times.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, I'm just done. I'm going to the news agency. It's just easier, and the people there are nicer.
Yeah.
And that was it.
Wow.
Mm.
So
That sounds horrible.
Yeah.
it kind of was, and I wasn't the only one with issues. It was a common thing. A lot of people would like, has anyone got their issues for this month? And you'd be like, no, we're still waiting on it. Just chill, relax, kind of
Yeah.
thing.
And so obviously this is not produced by Games Workshop, right? It's like a licensed external thing. Is that how
am
it
I allowed
is?
am I allowed to mention the name?
Yeah,
Yeah.
of course.
So the
I mean,
company's called So it's called Hachette or Hatchet.
That's right. Yeah, it's like Hachette.
Who do
Paperwork or
part
something.
work magazines.
Right,
They've done a
right.
ton of other stuff, but this was one of the few times where it's like Games Workshop side of things.
Right.
Yeah.
So they've done it for other companies, not just Games Workshop.
Yeah, they've done it for other companies.
Okay. And do you know what the track record on those were? Well, like from a
No,
Yeah.
I don't. The only other time I've ever done a Partworks, like magazine subscription was from when I was like 13.
Yeah.
And my dad was buying me a remote control
the remote control car. I actually remember one of those.
Subaru.
The Subaru
rally
WRX,
car.
right?
Yeah.
yeah, the blue one.
I still have it.
Yeah. That's awesome.
But that was the last time I did one.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
right.
I know. I did one of those when I was really young with a bunch of like insects in resin.
Yeah.
That was a thing for a while. But yeah, I haven't done one for ages.
It was just kind of like
Um,
mail order products
yeah.
in general, right? It was just huge back then because no
Yeah.
internet and everything.
Mm.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think Hachette are the ones who were doing the Batman chessboard, but don't hold me on that one. But they were doing one of the chess sets.
Well, it's worth saying that like I've read a bit online about this because we were looking at getting the Imperium magazine for the channel. We thought this would be a good way to just get a bunch of miniatures really cheap.
Oh yeah,
Um,
don't get me wrong. It's fantastic
not-
if you want that.
It's not available here.
No, it's
Well,
not.
yeah, it's not available in Australia, but I was looking into it, and it was the same with the previous two, Mortal Realms and Conquest, so that they weren't available in Australia until months and months after they were initially released, and they never announced it was going to be available until it was. They never said, "Oh, it's coming several months away." They just didn't talk about it.
Yeah, so I was always lucky to have. Sorry, didn't mean to talk over you.
No.
I was always lucky to have a couple of mates in the UK that I could get information off.
Right.
So they started noticing that AOS was appearing at the top of the magazines, and New Zealand because they put the price at the top.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
all
you started to
magazines,
get a
yeah.
feel for when things were coming out, and you'd check their website, and that's how you found out. Imperium, I think,
So
is only
bad.
the UK, Ireland, and the US.
US, yeah.
Currently,
Yeah.
Which, good for them. Like they haven't had any of this. Most of the guys in the US have been complaining. So
Yeah,
because
'cause
they
they
didn't get either of the previous ones, did they?
No.
neither.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I know they were real bummed that like a lot of the special edition stuff went to Japan as well, especially the Death Guard stuff, and then they got like literally nothing.
Yep.
Oh, the Space Marine hero things.
Yeah.
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 Japan exclusive.
The Japan
like,
exclusive
year or something.
ones was pretty crazy. Like I've always just seen it on a few of the Death Guard pages that like that's the crux point that they always like crack it about. It's not that like they didn't get like the rest of the world got other stuff. It's just that Japan only like deliberately got that and they got nothing.
Yeah.
It's very strange.
Yeah, the heroes is I've got the whole of the Blood Angels. Missed out on some of the the season 1 stuff, and then season 3 is the Death Guard things, and Japan got a 7th model, and we
Which
only
is
got 6.
Yeah, it's the Malignant Playcaster model.
Yeah, and it's
We've got
It's
a
awesome.
mate who
It's so much
who's got
better.
one. It's an amazing model.
It's so much better than the standard one that they produce.
Oh yeah.
yeah. I'm not a Death Guard fan, but even I looked at that and went, "Can I have one?"
Yeah, but I also think, and I said this to people, like the reason why it's because it's that I can't remember what it's called, but there's a full genre of toy collectibles that's like that, where they're like Pokemon card blister pack style, where you just don't know what you're getting, but it's figures.
That blind bag style.
Yeah, it's actually called something. There's actually a specific name for a product to be done that way. It's huge in Japan, man, from like all sorts of just like collectible ranges of figures of like, you know, the Gundam style stuff to cards to, you know, little Hello Kitty style caricature things, and then now 40k. So I think it obviously was a good system for them and it worked, but you know, not everyone understands that. Well, how come they're getting something I'm not? FOMO sets in hard.
But yeah, other than Mortal Realms, I'm working on one of my. I've got 2 knights I'm working on. One I've been
Imperial or Chaos?
Yeah, sorry. Yep, sorry, Imperial Knights. One I've been working on for maybe 8 months. Because I pick it up every like a week here and there and do a little bit more to it, just because it's bright yellow.
Yes. Yeah.
What made you choose that Death Trap?
What did you decide you deserved punishment for?
Yeah.
Well, I've got an all-white Tau army. That's
cool.
But that's all hand painted, so no airbrush.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
I've struggled with yellow in the past, and I like House Hawkshroud, so why not push myself to learn how to paint yellow efficiently and actually make it look good, like actually just push my skills, I guess is a way of putting it.
Yeah.
I was just like, so yeah, it's yellow, masked off, half is black. So there's
cool.
that. Oh, I love it. Like it's House Hawkshroud is actually quite nice when you see them all painted up and stuff.
I'm gonna have to look that up now.
And I'm doing a Carnus Rex as well.
Oh, that's the character knight, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
Just again, I've never seen one on the tabletop. Like none of my friends have one.
Is that the one with the weird plasma-y thing and not the
The hand and that weird plasma.
The pointy plasma lance thing.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, the yellow and silver trim, it's nice.
Yeah,
It's
so
a good look.
It is nice.
yeah, the silver is kind of yeah. I'm trying to take my time with painting the silver just because it comes so close to the yellow.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Don't want to have to touch up the yellow.
I've already had to redo the carapace once.
The whole
Oh.
thing.
Yeah,
Oh, bro.
I put a massive scratch down and I dropped it.
Oh no.
I had to sand it all back and like re-airbrush the base coat of yellow, edge
Oh,
highlight,
God.
and wash like recess wash everything again.
Oh, ouch.
Ouch. Yeah, that sucks.
Oh well.
I guess you won't. You'll take more care next time, and you hope that you wouldn't do that again.
I almost wear gloves with it now.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
But yeah, other than that, yeah, like I said, I bounce between projects and projects. So,
Hmm.
you know, I'll do this Mortal Realm stuff. I'll get the nids out. I'll put the nids away. I'll get the night out. That type of thing.
Oh, you're a Nids player, eh?
Yeah, big pink bugs.
Oh, bro, just like mine.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, more pink. More pink
Yeah, man.
nids.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nids are the best. I reckon they're the best things to paint, enjoyable wise, anyway. They're just
Quick,
the creative
simple.
freedom you get with them as well. You know, like, I mean, it depends on what your scheme is and stuff as well. But you know, having the freedom to just like paint details on carapace and stuff, and it looks, you know, you can have anything as crazy or out there as you want, and it still looks right. You know, like it just doesn't matter.
Hmm.
Yeah, like it's a darkish pink carapace with light pink lines, like stripy lines down the edges of the carapace. Green for all the really fleshy bits,
Ooh.
Okay, that's
Um,
cool.
and a bony kind of off-white skeleton, like the outside.
Yeah,
Oh,
I
yeah.
getcha. The exoskeletal, the
Um,
The bony bits.
bony bits.
yeah.
Yeah.
and my basing is the simplest thing on the planet. I use Geek Gaming's stuff and just dip them in.
Oh, well,
Yeah.
that's it. I mean, that's the thing.
Yeah.
Like,
Get
just
it
because
done,
it's
yeah,
easy doesn't
do
mean
what
it's bad.
Yeah.
No, oh, like it's fantastic stuff. It's just from basing previous stuff to what I'm doing now, it's just like I feel lazy.
Yeah. I mean, I think we always get to that state with certain projects too, where you're just like, oh, the worst is when you get halfway through and you're like, oh no, I have to keep doing it a certain way, and you're just like,
When you're like trying to base 30 gaunts,
oh,
Yeah.
dip method is the best thing on the planet.
oh man, I think I said it on our last podcast where I was like, I can't paint and even base anything more than 5 models at a time now. Like I can't do it. My brain
Yeah.
just like implodes.
Yeah, no, I got that way after doing my Crimson Fist stuff. I was like, there's got to be an easier way.
Mm.
And then Luke came out with all his stuff, and I went, yeah, I'll get
That's it. That's it right there.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
PVA glue and dipping it. Yep, cool.
100%.
What
What
have
about
you
you,
been up to?
Dalton? Yeah.
I've been finishing off the last little bits of the Dark Elder army I've been working on for the last couple of months. So as we talked about a couple of weeks ago, I tend to binge paint and just paint loads and loads of stuff all at once. So I've finished up a bunch of that. I've got the very last model for that army is the Master Archon conversion that I was talking about a while ago. I finished building that today. I'll be painting it tomorrow.
Ooh, nice.
So by this time you'll have seen it, I imagine, up in the Discord if you're in there, and you'll of course get to see it in our first battle report back when we finally get there.
Yeah. Whenever that's gonna be.
When we can play.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When we can get out of jail.
But other than that, I've been working on some Thousand Suns schemes and test models. Got some cool stuff happening there, as well as doing some kill teams. I've got a Tau kill team mostly finished as well. That'll be up on the Instagram long before this podcast goes out. And organising a bunch of other stuff, sort of behind the scenes stuff for that we'll get into in a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Did you have to
Yeah.
rebuild any of your kill teams?
Oh, I mean, there's a few kind of. Matau one's a good example. I had a set converted kill team for that's no longer a legal kill team. But it just means I've picked up some other models, and I'm going to finish off painting a few models to round out fire teams for it.
Yeah, really lucky
Yeah.
with my Death Watch.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're all 100% legal still. I'm like,
Nice.
sweet.
Yeah.
So how does that work? Like, wouldn't you just pick models from your army and you could just use, or is it like, is there things in 40k that you can't use in Kill Team?
I mean, there's certain models and things you can't use just because they're not in it. But like there aren't any.
Is there war gear restrictions? Like what a model
Kind
has?
of, yeah.
Like,
Yeah. So in Kill Team, you build a Kill Team. Bit of a tangent here. That yeah, in Kill Team 2.0, you build a Kill Team by picking a number of fire teams depending on the army. Most of them it's 2, but Space Marines is 1. I think Custodes is 2 as well. There's a few different restrictions there, but you build it by picking a number of fire teams, and each fire team is essentially like a unit or half a unit from 40k.
Mm-hmm.
So for Tau, for example, you pick 2 fire teams to make up your kill team.
Mm-hmm.
And each fire team, so there's 3 different fire teams you can pick from. You can pick from 6 Pathfinders, or 5 Fire Warriors, or 3 Stealth Suits.
So you can't mix and
within-
match and just make your own like little kind of party.
Not
You're
the way
used
you
to.
used to be able to, no.
Oh, that's really
So
You pick
underwhelming.
pick sets of units. It's a bit different to get your head around, and I'm kind of disappointed that you lost that customizability.
Yeah.
But everything I've heard about it so far says that it's far more balanced this way.
it is.
And that's the main thing I'm getting out of it, is that it's done for balance, because now there's no points values in it. All of the kill teams and the way you build them is how it's balanced.
So, for instance, where before, I'll bring up my Tau kill team, I guess,
Yep.
where I'd have drones, Pathfinders, a stealth suit, and a couple of Fire Warriors running around. I can't do that now.
Yeah, that sounds cool. Like I was like, oh, that's because that's where you imagine where it's like those
Space
sorts of-
Marines, you could mix and match whatever you liked, but now it's like,
Yeah.
as you were saying before, it was like now you can only have 5 Reavers, and that's it.
Well, Space Marines, like, I mean, I'm not a huge Space Marine fan, but I feel like they've been done dirty with this
They
edition of Kill Team.
kind of have, because you can't.
Because it's like you basically just pick a squad of Space Marines and that's it.
Yeah.
You used to be able to be like, oh, here's my 2 intercessors and a Reaver, and there's some scouts over here, and you got to sort of mix and match from the admittedly huge Space Marine infantry range to build this kill team. And now it's kind of like, oh, you get to pick 1 fire team, and I think all of them are like 5 Reavers, 5 intercessors.
That's so boring.
I think like 6 mini Marines.
Yeah,
7 scouts or something like that.
and that's kind of why
And
I
it's
lucked
kind of
out.
boring for Space Marines.
That's why Death Watch is kind of just like in there of being like, okay, cool. I can
Doesn't
just have
matter.
these. Doesn't matter. They all look like this. They can all have
I mean,
different weapons.
Depends,
We're
yeah.
walking
Death Watch in
away.
40k already a kill team.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Yeah.
I was
So,
quite happy.
It's so weird. You're a Death Watch player as well.
Only for Kill Team. They're the only
Oh,
5
only
models
not
of
for
Death
not
Watch
for
I
40k.
have.
Okay, right.
I've got a ton of shoulder pads lying around, but other than that, like, they're the only 5 Death Watch I own,
Yeah, right. Okay.
and it's only for Kill Team.
Yeah.
Mm.
But,
Yeah, sorry.
No, but no, we're definitely keen to get into that, and yeah. But yeah.
Well,
we're
now
working
I'm
on
a bit
bunch of
like,
them,
oh,
understanding all the
I don't
rules.
really know if I want to. Like, obviously we will, but I mean, because yeah, I had it in my head that, you know, and I feel like it fit thematically where, you know, you're in this bunker, but you're in this bunker because half of like 3 units have been destroyed, and then it's like that's why you have 2 Fire Warriors, a stealth suit, and a bunch of drones or whatever, you know, because it's kind of
Yeah.
It
Well, I mean, I
all
think
would've-
it's an interesting one because it depends on how you're looking at what kill teams are and what they do. Are they a specific, specially trained unit? Because then you kind of expect them to be the same thing, more or less.
Yeah, you mean like a
With
special
different
forces
special-
unit kind of thing?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
These are an example. I'll go back to Tower because I spent all today, well, a good portion today, looking at them and planning it out and looking at what I'm doing with them. But they have this whole archetype set up where different kill teams have different archetypes, what they're there for. And so stealth suits and pathfinders are both recon archetypes. And so the whole thing is, it kind of makes sense if you need to send out a special unit or a special deployment that is there to achieve a certain thing, in this case a reconnaissance type thing, well then you would send out a unit of Pathfinders that work well together and have trained together to do that specific thing.
That's true.
And then maybe you second some stealth battle suits for them. So because again, you want a group of them that work together and do the same thing.
Yeah, it's weird. Like I can't imagine how Tyranids work that aren't warriors or gene stealers, because obviously you're not going to have like a Khan effects.
Gene stealers. It's warriors, gene stealers, and broods of. You can mix and match termagants and hormagaunts.
Yeah, I just can't see that. Like regarding the mixing match thing, it would be just strange. That there, I feel like would the thematics kind of falls apart. Anyway, it's not the point. We're not here to talk about fucking kill teams. So.
But yeah, that's what I've been working on.
Which is good.
Bits and pieces.
That's cool.
So, so Billy, in addition to doing this YouTube stuff, you're also fairly active in a lot of the communities that we're all part of. So one of the things that I wanted to talk about today and to have you on to talk about is how exactly is what's the importance of the community, but both to you and do you think to the hobby at large?
It's actually a really good question, because I'm going to screw up my answer here, but so I've been thinking about it all day, and I really have never sat down and really thought, what is the point of it all? And for me, I guess it's motivation. Being able to keep up with other people that are putting out some really quite amazing work, to push myself to do that as well, like to up my game and see how far I can go, and also kind of, I get it's a bit, I find silly saying it, but also kind of get that pat on the back for a good job. You know what I mean? Like at the moment, I can't go to and see my friends or anything like that and put painted minis on the table. So at the moment, it's a good way of getting that kind of accolade of going, hey, that looks really cool. But also, I think it's for people who the community is really good for people who might be the only one in their friend group that are doing this, to meet other like-minded people, so they don't so they don't feel isolated, so they feel included. You know what I mean? They might find, hey, you just might be talking to someone and find out they live around the street, like around the corner from you, and you can actually go and play and meet up. Communities, especially I think now, have really found that kind of, again, like I said, I'm going to screw this answer up really badly, but find other like-minded people that you may not have encountered before.
Well, it's really interesting that you bring that up, that you can sort of end up chatting to people and finding out, they're just around the corner. Because I had that exact experience with, I suppose, getting involved with gaming at large several years ago when I was getting into it. When I first got into wargaming and the miniatures world, it was kind of before the current wealth of Facebook groups and interconnectedness that we all have at the moment. Kind of before the internet became this massive social place, and it was still more of just a thing that was there that you'd use, I guess.
The dark den of all sorts of depravity.
I mean, none of that's changed. It's just that. But so for several years, I'd go on the internet, and I have distinct memories of like just reading wiki pages and things like that. But that connecting with other people wasn't a big thing at the time. And then, I got a little bit older, was towards finishing school, etc. And got online because I lived 2 hours drive away from the nearest Games Workshop. There was a local gaming store that I was aware of, but they were like heavy into Magic. They said, oh look, maybe there's one other person that comes in here ever looking for miniatures. So I was at basically, as far as I was aware, middle of nowhere, the only person anywhere nearby that was into it. And then I managed to, Facebook was becoming a bigger thing, and I think I found some some Facebook groups to do with 40k in Australia or New South Wales or wherever it was. And I ended up chatting with people there and finding out, some of them are actually kind of close, and there is a local group that get together outside of the game store that was there, and I ended up becoming part of the local club that way, and actually meeting all these people who I'm still mates with and try and catch up with whenever I head back up.
Well,
but it all came out of that online community thing, going, there are people close by, and there are people that you would never normally find any other way.
Yeah, I mean, it's how we met, right? I mean,
yeah.
And it was so. Billy, just start by, if you can, just state the which way are you involved with the community? So like what things do you moderate and look after?
Yeah, I'm gonna put a target on my back.
Or if you don't want to, like, I mean, it's fine. Be like, I just, whatever.
No. So I'm one of the. There's actually a few of us. We monitor the Melbourne 40k Warhammer group.
Mm-hmm.
Fantastic group for anyone listening in the area.
If you're in Victoria, you should be definitely involved. So Melbourne Warhammer 40k, as well as, I guess, a buy swap sell page that we have purely to get that stuff off the main page.
Yeah,
that is a dangerous page to be on, my friends.
Yeah, it is.
Oh,
dangerous page to browse late at night.
It is.
Or once you've had a few beers.
But I will say this about the group, right? It's probably the easiest group that I monitor, like as an admin on, especially the buy swap sell pages, because 99% of, I guess, people who try and do the scalping thing, the community sorts it out.
Yeah, they get on that pretty quick.
Yeah,
and it's quite entertaining to sit back and go, well, I don't have to do nothing here.
Yeah, that's good.
The other, like a lot of the Tyranid groups. So Tyranids, that's all you have to type in. 12,000 members, and there's a bunch of us from all over the world.
Yeah, that group is probably one of the best groups I reckon I'm in at all in general. The wealth of positivity in that group overshadows so many other groups. Like, it's crazy. It's a really, really positively cultivated group, that one.
And I think that comes down to an active admin team. I guess I'm not patting myself on the back here at all because it's a group effort, but there was a point in time where that wasn't the case.
Yeah, right.
We had months of just trolls and horrible people, and we just we redid the rules, went, this is going to work for everybody. If you don't like it, there's other groups for you, and everyone, 99% of the people were like, yeah, sure, this is great, keep going. And then we just slowly got rid of the people who were making life kind of difficult for other people.
Yeah.
And it's a great, fantastic group,
I mean, the Melbourne one is too. I mean, it was literally, Risky Rollers wouldn't exist without that group. And the reason why that is because before Risky Rollers was a thing, and how Dalton and I met, and everyone else that's come through the channel, even how we got in touch with Dice Arcade, extended, and Tim there, was basically me putting out there, like, who plays games in the Bayside area.
Yeah.
And then I just put that out, and then Dalton and Lawrence and Charlie and a few others were like, yep, we all live Bayside. And I was like, okay, well then let's start a Discord and let's start playing together. And if we didn't have that initial forum space to do that, most likely none of this would be happening. So I've got to say,
not only just having the forum space, but having one that was somewhere that we all were active and wanting to be active in,
and feel comfortable to post something like that. It's full and so I need to say thanks to you for that. I mean, I know it's not just you, but I'm talking to you, so
the rest of the guys are going to know about this anyway. But so I had a very similar story when I bought my first war box of Space Wolves back at the start of 6th. Didn't touch them until halfway through 7th, and was like, I kind of want to learn to play. So I contacted.
What a time to learn to play.
Yeah, right. And I actually didn't mind it, but then again, I didn't know any better. Got in contact with the local G-Dub. Met a bunch of guys there, and then went, well, maybe there must... But no one there spoke about any groups or communities outside of the store.
Right.
I'm like, it's a bit far to travel. There has to be somewhere closer. And I found the Melbourne Warhammer group, you know, and I met Duke. Duke is awesome. He's been around pretty much everyone anywhere at any time when it comes to 40k.
Yeah.
The dude's everywhere. Even if you haven't met him, you've met him.
Yeah.
So I put out exactly the same thing. Does anyone play? Can anyone teach me? And he's like, yep, sure. Grey Knights, first game, turn 2, tabled me.
That's pretty mean.
Didn't go easy on me, and I appreciate it to this day.
Yeah,
mind you.
It's still a game, right?
He said it's still a game. We both still had fun. He goes, but this is what you're going to encounter. Like, learn the rules, play more, beat me later.
Yep.
Meeting him, getting more involved in the groups, then like finding other groups like Citadel Fanboys is another Melbourne-based group, and Warplings in Flemington.
Yep.
It's
good club there.
Yeah. So cannot speak high enough of the guys down at Warplings and the things they do in the community that's there.
Yeah, it's a good group of guys. They've got a good setup up there.
The amount of work they put in, you know, is for their community and how open and welcoming they are to everybody.
Yep.
Yeah. You know, they're fantastic, and they're the ones, because it's the closest one to me. You know, I spend a lot of time with them. But in saying that, like, you'll find local gaming stores that are in the groups as well.
Yep.
And meet people through them. Some of my best friends now are from meeting them randomly at stores that weren't even playing 40k.
Oh, okay. That's interesting.
I met a lot of guys who were playing Malifaux. Malifaux is fantastic if you've never...
I've never heard of that. What's that?
Okay, how do we
brief
Malifaux?
do it in 10 seconds.
It's Warcry with your little bands of... You've got to check out the miniatures because they're insane. There's a little girl holding a basket full of heads. But instead of dice, it's played with playing cards. So like a deck of cards that you flip over.
All right.
And that if you beat your opponent with a higher card, then you get to do things.
Oh, this game. Yeah, right.
Yeah, it's a hell of a lot of fun.
For those of you going to search it, it's faux as in the French way, F-A-U-X, because I was like M-A-L-I-F-O. I'm like, nothing's coming up.
That's just my way of saying it. I apologize to everyone.
No, I think you're right. I think you're right in the pronunciation.
That sounds about right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they were playing Malifaux, and now majority of them now play AOS or Warcry.
Yeah. Right.
So they got me into AOS.
Nice.
Oh, this is awesome. I'm seeing a little rabbit with glasses that looks like he's about to be a slingshot. Like, you know, on an oversized slingshot. That's awesome. I love that.
There's
kind
like
of
a
stuff.
little girl holding a basket full of severed heads. She's got a pet teddy bear that's all stitched together with giant claws and teeth.
Yeah, the big giant teddy. Yeah, I can see it. It's cooked.
I've got a bunch of cabaret girls who use mannequins as, you know, members of their crew and things like that, and magic.
That's cool.
There's Shenron from Dragon Ball Z in there. He's not called Shenron. This is how everyone painted him up, though. But he looks almost identical.
That's hilarious.
It's a hilarious game. But so the shop I was going to, a lot of them were playing that while we were playing 40k. I'm like, what is this?
Yeah.
And that's just how that community grew. And now there's a bunch of us playing everything. It's like, oh, what do you want to play this week? When we could, mind you, not now.
Yeah.
But that's kind of how I find communities being important, is not only just for the game that you're interested in, but sending you down that rabbit hole
Yeah.
of just what else does this have? Like, what else is out there?
I mean, I think a couple of weeks ago, Lockie, you and I were talking to Tim from Dicelocade, and we were talking about that diversity of players and people and ideas in a group, and I think this is even more so along those lines. But when you've got that community that is welcoming, accepting to everyone in the hobby and all sorts of different variations of it, it means you get exposed to so much more and
Yeah, like
interactions with so many different people.
yeah. Sorry to interrupt. Didn't mean to. One of the cool things is like, especially if you're having conversations and they know of a game that's coming out that you had no idea about.
Yeah.
Imperial Assault is
Yep.
the droid and storm clone troopers is staring me in the face.
Right. So Imperial Assault is Fantasy Flight Games
Legion.
board game miniature. Not quite. It's before Legion. It was their board.
No,
game
sorry,
Star
Legion.
Wars miniatures.
Yeah, no,
Yeah, you
sorry.
mean Legion.
And then
though,
Legion.
right?
I meant
Yeah,
Legion.
okay.
Yes,
Yeah.
I've got Imperial Assault as well. That's a good
Right.
game. Legion, I had no idea it was coming out until someone in the community went, "Hey, did you guys know about the Star Wars 40k?"
Star Wars
That's the exact experience I had as well with I think it was one of the members in our Discord. I won't bring it up now because I'm not sure if it was him or not, who mentioned that was coming out, and I jumped on board with the first pre-order.
Yeah, that's how I found out about it. I didn't get I didn't get the first box. I only got the second because I was like, I kind of want a droid army. So that was really cool because no idea that was coming out. So that was all community. I don't want to say peer pressure, but you know that happened.
That's definitely a thing.
Yeah. But I guess another thing too is like, I'm probably wrong on this one because no one's told me yet, but I feel like I'm one of the only people to do Gundam, like Gumpler, in my gaming groups kind of thing. I build Gundams. They're awesome. They're cheap. They're massive.
So do you do the full Grandmaster kits?
I haven't got any perfect grade ones yet.
Yeah, or whatever. I'm not sure.
Yeah,
What
so
they're called.
they have
but
these.
yeah.
It takes a while to learn. Like, one of the things I struggled with is what does all the different grades mean? Like, why is there so many? I have my favorites. I've got my preferences of what I like to do, but it wasn't until I was having a conversation with Jack the other day, and I'm like, check this out, how cool is this? And he goes, oh yeah, I'm collecting all the Evangelion ones from like the OG stuff. I'm like, oh, you do it too?
Yeah. I think is that Jack Clark?
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. I was like, same guy. So yeah,
no, Jack, yep.
Yeah, cool. Because he's the one who, it was literally last week we were talking about it. Because he's like, he's in a situation where he's only limited in what he can do hobby wise, and he was talking about, I'm into this Gundam stuff, and I was like, what do you mean? I'm like, because I remember it from when I was in Asia when I was a kid. It's like, they're just the little push fit model, like Zoids. I had like, Zoid models or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
if
then,
I told you that those Zoid, like the adult version of those Zoids, are like nearly $300.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, so that's the thing. He was like, and he's like went on this rant explaining it to me and like the grading. I'm like, well, this sounds crazy. He's like, yeah, it's epic.
Yeah.
Cool. I'm like, all right, sounds pretty interesting.
It can be, but like, I'm glad that there's Facebook communities here in Melbourne and in Australia that allows me to be part of the Gundam scene. Because I'm not super heavy into it like some people are, but at least it gives me a place to go, hey, check out what I just built this month.
Yeah.
And everyone's like, yeah, it's sweet. How did you find this bit? Or if like I find something that's like, did I break it? And everyone's like, no, it's just an issue with the kit.
Yeah.
It's really handy to have that community there. And I guess that brings us back to the 40k stuff. It also helps a lot of the new guys who are just like, I see the question so often. It's like, what is this piece that's not labeled in the instructions?
Yeah.
The Tyranid, I I forget the name of it.
The gene stealer kit, the thing at the pools,
The-
the gestation pools.
Yeah, the gestation pools. Like,
Yeah.
what is this? How many
Everyone-
a lot
words
of
is
the
to a base?
Tyranid,
Yeah.
all the Tyranid like little bio upgrades and stuff they have.
Yeah,
and they're
Tux
made
and
of
Saxon,
exhibits.
and then
Yeah.
what's the other one? The weird thing that goes on the back of the thing. Yeah, they're all so strange.
And that's kind of cool to have that community, because I remember when I was building my Space Wolves back when, like, originally I was building them, like, I had no idea. I didn't
But there was
know
no
I needed
instructions.
No, I didn't know I needed a codex.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, where I was supposed to learn all this stuff from.
Mm.
So I guess people now that Facebook and Instagram, I don't want to say Twitter, but there's Twitter. You have that ability to go, I need help.
Yeah.
What am I doing?
Well, it's something that I think I know I definitely lose perspective on it sometimes. Is that the hobby we're in is like it's complicated and it's quite opaque to just look at from the outside and try and figure out where to start some of the times.
Oh, like,
Because like we look at it and we go, oh, you just buy a kit and build some models and go from there. It's like, well,
Yeah.
that's not necessarily the most obvious way to get into it.
Yeah, it's not
I
like
didn't
playing
even-
a first-person shooter, you know, like you just put a first-person shooter in front of someone, they know exactly what to do, you know.
Yeah.
They know, the concepts are ingrained in them, where it's a hobby is not like that at all.
I had no idea about thinning paints when I first started.
Yeah. Oh,
You know,
thinning
it
paint.
wasn't- It
got a
wasn't
very-
until someone I met somebody, John, that was like, "Yeah, thin your paints, bud."
Yeah.
Even now, like every now and then, I don't bother. But like, my only experience with models up until then was building cars, like the Tamiya kits and things like that.
Yeah, right.
Tamiya paints.
I will rant about Tamiya paints any day
Yeah,
of the week.
don't get
still use them.
Dalton started.
How are they usable? I don't understand this.
Most of my silvers, most of my blacks, all run straight through the airbrush with acrylics. Not thinned or thin them down with water. I don't touch lacquers. I can't stand lacquers just because they smell. Need the chemicals to either thin them down or wash your airbrush out.
Do you have a brush on Tamiya paints?
Yeah.
Do they work?
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, as long as you've got a decent primer down, I've never had
Yeah.
any issue brushing them on. But that's how I used to do the cars.
Yeah.
Like when I was 10. Yeah, I've got a whole bunch of Tamiya, Mr. Hobby, all those type of paints and things like that, and I use them.
That's amazing because I've tried Tamiya paints multiple times and they're always horrendous. And I'm probably doing something wrong, but I can't figure it out. It's just bad.
Lacquers or acrylic?
Acrylics.
Oh,
What-
okay.
Little acrylic paint pots.
What are you basing it with?
You mean priming it with?
Yeah.
I
Are you
use-
using that
Spray.
Rust-Oleum thing?
So I've either
No, this would have been when I was using the Citadel ones.
Okay.
I guess it's because I mainly run them through an airbrush though, so I haven't had much problem with them.
Okay, yeah. I mean, it's entirely derailing the
Yeah,
we're talking
sorry.
about,
But
Well, this
I
is all
think-
part of the community, right?
Yeah,
like,
it is. I
It's
think.
like I use this too. It's crap.
Yeah. I think that one of the biggest things I think that is so successful in the present communities that exist now, and especially the ones in Melbourne and the ones that you're a part of, it's creating obviously everything that we've already discussed, but I find the best thing is that it creates a space where you're not fearful to ask a question that might seem silly or stupid. You know, like even stuff with like rules questions, man. And like, you know, or can I do this, or is this legal, or does this work, or hey, here's my list, check this out. And then people are like, well, you know, what's your list trying to do? And then it's just this, especially in the Tyranids. Again, I'm going to come back to the Tyranids group because I'm on it a lot, and there's a lot of conversation because I think there's also ammunition to talk about stuff in that regard because of, you know, old book and not sitting well, etc., etc. But the amount of openness I find that people have about anything is so broad, and I think that's what's really, really powerful about it is that creating that safe space for people to come forward. You know, and then the byproduct of that is meeting people like we've you know said.
Yeah, so I think with way the world's been for the last nearly 2 years now, we've had a gigantic inflow of hobbyists
Yeah.
picking up the boxes and things like that. It's massive, like huge numbers. Like the groups exploded, and even though, like, you read the 9th edition book of rules and it's the dot points,
Yeah.
but every now and then there's still something. Even the dot points are just like, can I do that still with this codex? These rules here, like,
Yeah.
does this still flow? Like, what am I doing? But the cool thing is, a lot of these guys are not fearful of getting that you're an idiot. Like, why are you asking this question? Because I think a lot of those, I don't want to say gatekeepers, but a lot of those people are just like either not around anymore, or they're kind of just like, eh.
Well, actually, I'm going to throw this up next. I think that's potentially a testament more to how well certain moderators and communities are looked after.
Yeah, I would
Because I know
agree.
I'm definitely part of a few Facebook groups and things that I'm not going to name because I do want them to get better. I don't want to turn people off them. And as you're saying, the Tyranids group's improved a lot recently, which is a fantastic.
Yeah, and I didn't mean to
thing
make
to
it sound
aspire
harsh
to.
that we just started like mass booting people for no reason. Like,
But hey, sometimes that's what's needed, though. Like,
we
in all
would
seriousness, like,
we always, it doesn't matter what group, like, we're adminning or anything like that, we always get together. We have, people just think, oh, you just got booted for random. It's like, no. Most admin teams will have had a conversation for like an hour arguing back and forth whether or not this is the right thing to do.
Well, that's something that
and
we'd
rightly
like to
so,
take a
I would
break-
say.
a quick break shortly, and then come back to this because it's a topic I want to hit pretty hard.
Okay.
But it's definitely worth pointing out before we go to the break that I think it's definitely got a lot to do with how well the moderation team does do that, because there are definitely those sort of people, like the gatekeepers and so forth, that do kick around and seemingly make a habit out of making life really hard for newer players and stuff.
And yeah, before, like, one more thing on that,
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
like, I don't want people thinking that they're everywhere, because in my own personal side of things for hobby, I think I've met 2.
Yeah.
Like, 2 people like that, and there was a brief interaction, and I've never met them since. Like,
Yeah.
it was, oh, okay, there's this guy, okay, he picks on new players. Like, he will literally target them so he can win. And you're like,
Right.
okay, haven't seen him for years.
Good.
But the community
fantastic.
sorted that
That's-
one out, because the community was like, well, we're not playing you anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then just a couple of people online, and that's about it. But like keyboard warriors, like, what are you going to do? Like, you ignore them pretty much.
Exactly.
Yeah. That's all you can do for the most part. You just sort
Yeah.
of-
But for new guys, they might think, oh, well, they're everywhere, they're out to get me. It's like, well, no. You'd be really surprised. It's like less than 1%.
Yeah.
Most people are going to welcome you with open arms. They might kick your ass on the tabletop, but you're not going to feel bad about it. Like, you're going to be welcomed and just, this is a lesson. And that's it.
Yeah, for sure. Well, we'll take a quick break and hear from Tim about a bit about Dice Arcade, and then we'll be right back into that, because I really want to get into what that tends to entail and how do we deal with that sort of gatekeeping, and not just that, but other issues that can arise in communities, particularly online, but also out in local and I guess personal ones.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, cool. I'm happy to have that conversation.
Yeah, fantastic. So we'll all right, we'll be back with you guys in a moment.
Sweet.
dicearcade.com.au. All the biggest brands in miniatures and wargaming. Free postage over $250.
Thanks for that, Tim, and make sure to check out Dice Arcade and use the code Risky Rollers to grab an additional discount on checkout. So Billy, one of the things that we've mentioned a few times now is that you you're involved with moderating several of the Facebook groups. So, I mean, a lot of us are probably quite curious on what's actually involved with that, because it seems to be quite an opaque, thing to do. We all know the mods are there, and we see their handiwork when things get out of hand on a Facebook group. But what's involved with that? How do you approach moderating and looking after a community?
Well, I guess it's been active. Like you can really tell when a group, when the admin team is just not there.
Hmm.
With just some of the stuff that gets thrown around and some of the posts and things like that. You're like, yeah, no one cares, and everyone knows there's no admin going to step in here, so go nuts.
Right.
In saying that though, the Melbourne page, we're there, but we don't have to do anything, which is a real cool sign of the community at large. It's just we don't have to. Most people, if something gets out of hand, most other people will step in and be like, "Oi, like what the hell?
Yeah.
Like
Don't
why are
be a
you
dick.
being like
Yeah.
why you
Yeah.
you did not need to jump in and say that at all.
Mm.
Like pull your head in, and we just sit back and look at it and laugh. Be
Mm.
like, we don't need to be involved in this. We'll step in if we have to. Um, it's a bit of a weird topic when it comes to the Tyranid pages, but we don't. It's part of the rules, but we don't allow 3D printed stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Huge topic of debate.
That one's
But-
massive.
It's monstrous, and
Yeah.
the amount of complaints we have gotten about putting our foot down on it, it's just because we don't want to deal with it. Then you start getting files shared and all this other stuff, and it's just like,
Well,
guys,
you
there's
start-
groups.
Yeah, you start getting into legal ramification territory now, especially with what GW has been doing actively regarding their IP. It's a whole avenue of issue that you just do not want to have to deal with.
Well, when you're at 12,000 members, you could imagine what trying to sort through half of that stuff is like.
Mm.
A lot of people going, well, GW is never going to do anything, but like, you guys don't see the Facebook requests for us to do things.
Yeah.
Like, hey, this violates our terms and like our policy agreements and things like that. This person's comment is in violation of this. Oh, by the way, this is a notice from GW. Please pull this.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, like you do get people who aren't part of those teams. We do get those messages. We do see those notices.
Oh yeah.
But we're not going to post them to you, like to the community at large, because it's like we're just dealing with it.
Right.
But also with third party, like with 3D printed stuff, guys, it's just like first rule of Fight Club:
Exactly.
prime your miniatures.
Yeah.
That's all I ask. Put some primer on it.
Yeah.
It's really hard to tell when there's no primer on things unless we're looking stupidly hard. But each group is different. Some groups will allow it, some groups won't. But it's just kind of talking to the people who post about it too. Like I definitely don't mute somebody without putting a note.
So like a warning to them or something.
It's like, hey, look, by the rules that we have, 3 days being muted, but this is why. Try not to do it again.
Yeah.
If you repeat it, longer muting. You do it again, see you later.
Yep.
And that's people. Mind you, 99.9% of the people just like toe the rules. They don't care. They just do it. Okay, easy. Just paint your miniatures. But again, like groups have been shut down before.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
And
sure.
people pretend like it hasn't happened. It's like, well,
It's a
we
thing.
don't want one of the largest Tyranid groups getting taken down. We don't want the Melbourne page getting taken down, even though I doubt that ever will happen. But there are
What is it,
GW employees in the Tyranid groups.
Step one of maintaining a healthy online community. Make sure that there is an online community to exist.
Yeah.
Because... And even on top of that as well, the attitude has been, as you said previously, it's small fish, GW won't do anything, GW won't do anything. That was, okay, maybe true for past, definitely not now. Sitting where we are right now, everything is up for grabs in terms of their reach and what they're willing to do to protect their brand. And, look, it's fine, that's their prerogative, it's their brand, it's their IP, they're allowed to do whatever they want. So, staying out of the firing line is just what you got to do now, more so. And people need to be fully aware of that.
And there's still that kind of, I've got my blinders, not me, but I'm talking about like people in the community still have those blinders on that of just like, no, this will never happen. It's like, we're at 12,000 members. Like,
It's
that's
very,
not a
very possible.
small group.
Nah, it's
Yeah.
not.
Like, if we didn't, like, again, the group is everywhere.
Yeah.
From here in Australia, there's a few of us here. There's a few in the US, Sweden, you name it. We're all over the place. So we're constantly monitoring it 24/7. Like, I'll wake up in the morning and be like, hey, how do we sort this out? It's like, delete every single one of those comments leaking to that website. You know?
Yeah.
It's like, we just don't want it. But in saying that too, is like, if the group goes down, like, you lose 11,000 other people you can ask questions to.
Yeah.
It's not worth it.
Like, you had that resource there that's now gone. Okay, there's probably another group that'll pop up, but it's not going to be the same quality. You're not going to be able to post that question and get an answer within 3 seconds that's not calling you a dickhead. Yeah, you know?
Agreed,
like,
yeah.
Yeah.
100%.
Like,
And that's
I
the thing
love
is-
seeing the... Sorry, yep.
No, you're right. You go.
I was going to say, it's like, I love going through that page and seeing someone going, how do I paint this? And it's like, there was a guy a couple of weeks back who was painting who asked about the same scheme that I'm painting with the same reference photo that I used, that I first saw and went, I like that.
Oh yeah.
And I messaged him straight out of the blue and went, here's my recipe page out of my book. Like, I sent him a photo of it and goes, try that, bud. And he painted it. And he goes,
That's
this is
awesome.
fantastic.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, if I find how someone painted something, I message them. You know, and that's the community at large. Like, I don't want to lose that resource.
And I've done the exact same thing. I've had people ask me on my Tyranids, like, oh, what was the scheme of the carapace that I do, or how did I do this? And 100% whenever anyone asks that, I'm like, here it is, here's all the paints, this is the process, this is how I did it. You know,
Yeah.
there's no such thing
Yeah,
as
like-
like those secrets. Like, Bendix, just spread it, like, get everyone in and amongst it.
Yeah, it's one of those things with, like, Instagram, for instance, is probably the #1 comment I see. Not on my stuff, but on others. No one comments on my things. But, like, how did you do that? Like, how did you paint that? Like, that is amazing. How do you do this? Like, you know, if that resource or that community wasn't great like that, like, you couldn't ask these questions without feeling stupid or embarrassed. And that's kind of the cool thing about when you do get down to, I guess, those certain individuals who like to mess with people because they're behind a computer screen really are ignored by the larger community, that you can ask those questions. If anything I just said made sense then.
Yeah. Makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
But, like, that's the really cool thing is, but you've got to have what I feel is an active behind the scenes community.
Yeah.
So yeah, like, admins might seem like a dick, like they might also, like, we might all seem like complete, like, assholes because we're strict on rules, but it's like, it's not for us. I don't want to be getting messages, some of the abusive messages I've received, just like instant block, have just been like, I don't want to get that, but I'm doing it for the other 100 people or so that might want to ask a question.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, then
100%.
and I think it's not just necessarily having an active moderating team, but it's having one that recognises that and really pushes for it. So I've definitely been in groups where that exact thing that you're talking about has happened, where someone's asked for, oh, how do I paint this, or how does this rule work, or how do, you know, any sort of these basic questions. People just go, oh, you're an idiot, read the rules. Oh, you know,
Yeah,
oh,
and
just get better at painting. Do that, like, and there's
yeah,
not that
get good.
But, like, I mean, there's always that one joker who thinks it's hilarious. But people who are generally just really nasty about it.
Yeah,
And these
like,
are sometimes in groups with really active mod teams that just don't care about it.
no, I remember when I was very first, again, we're going right back to when I first started playing at the GW store, like, I was playing a game against a guy who'd been around for, like, forever, and he essentially went, he looked at me dead in the face and went, "You got your rule book on you?" I'm like, yeah. He goes, "Well, I'm not teaching you. If I'm not going to help you with the rules if you haven't read the book." I'm like, "I have. It's just this is like my third game. Like, it's open in front of me." Like, he goes, "Well, you know, turn to the page, read it, and then let's continue." And now later on, yeah, it's like, okay, cool, like, I'll do that. Like, I'm one of those people who went, like, I did not take it to heart, I didn't take it personally. It was literally someone going, hey, like, probably could have worded it better, but, like, that could have just been the way that what that night was going for them, like, anything like that. But it was like,
right, yeah,
turn to the page, it's here, read it. But now it's like, this rule doesn't make sense to me, please help. Like, I don't want that person being attacked or being told that they're an idiot. It's like, hey, in the page that you're looking for is here. Give that a read. What does it say? Like, how's it, like, it's written this way, this is how you play it. With this rule that you're trying with that army, you do this.
Like, it takes just as much effort to give someone the right positive answer than it does to give them the wrong negative one.
Or even the push.
Or not even necessarily wrong, but...
Yeah.
But, you know,
like...
Sorry.
No, I was just saying, like... like, I was just going to say, it's like, not even giving them the full answer, but just like that little nudge in the right direction for them to work it out themselves is, as you were saying, still better than giving them nothing.
But it's the same amount of energy. And if you're
it's not just giving them nothing when you're coming back hostile to them. You're actively trying to drive them away from participating.
Yeah. Which is weird with that story you were just saying there. Like, my response to that, if that ever happened to me, would have been like, all right, I'm just going to play and ask him every question on every rule for the rest of the game. And be like, fine, bro, is this how you want to do it? Because, you know, I can play your game the same way, yeah? Like, you want to be an arsehole, I'll be an arsehole back to you. Like, but it's so unnecessary. Where you could just... Or you walk away and you go, look, maybe we actually don't play. Because, you know, this is obviously not going to be a good experience for me. It's not going to be a good experience for you. So sorry, see you later. But yeah, I don't understand it. I mean, when someone first told me what a troll was, I was like, what do you mean? Like, literally,
like,
just...
what's the point?
Exactly, what is the point? It's like unfathomable. I could not conceptualize the point of doing that.
It's so much personal effort and mental energy to achieve what exactly?
Exactly, well, nothing, right?
Yeah, well, you're actively making the community you're part of a worse place.
And that's the thing that I guess even though I might not be completely, like, I'm not a household name, like, or anything like that, like, I'm not in the forefront of doing things or anything like that, but, like, just even in the background, it's like, well, do you really need to be talking to someone who's new to this, or not even new, just like been around for a while, just wants something explained? Do you really need to be talking to them like that? Like, why should I keep you a part of the community if that's how you're going to be? Like, if that's how you are behind the screen, like, are you like that in person? Like, because if you are, like, I don't want nothing to do with you.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
And I think the community at large, especially here in Melbourne, is a very good one. I've got, like, as you guys probably do as well, like, friends all over the shop here in Australia. It's like, I've heard some horror stories. It's just like, why are you going to that store then? Like, why are you part of that? And they're like, well, I've got no other choice. That's all I've got.
Yeah, that's horrible.
Yeah.
And it's like, especially, like, one of my mates up in Queensland, like, I'm not repeating any of the stories, but, like, yeah, he went through, like, 2 groups before he found the one that he absolutely loves now.
Jesus.
And it's just because one shouldn't really exist, and the other one was just not welcoming to new members whatsoever.
Yeah.
It's weird. That's so strange. I mean, do you think that there is a clear, or not necessarily clear, but is there a connection from local and online to the point of like a successful online community is somewhat connected to having a successful local community? As in, so Melbourne's online community, is the success of that relevant to the success of the Melbourne local community as a whole? Do you think there's a correlation between the two?
I think it came like, I'll put it as like the reverse, whereas like the local community I think is what made the online community really good. Like you had all these groups way before any of this Facebook stuff that have evolved over time. Yeah, some have like disbanded, and then like they've all gone their separate ways for a few years, and then found each other again through the online communities and things like that. And I think a lot of them, like I don't want to say old guard, but like the guys have been around like forever, have been able to influence the community enough to be like, don't be a dick, if that makes any sense. So it's like their influence on the online community, like a lot of the admin team, like I'm new to it when it comes to some of the guys, like the guys who created the group are still admins. They're still active all these years later.
That's great though.
Yeah,
You know,
that's
like
amazing.
they've been around like forever, and it's not just here in Melbourne. Like it goes into Geelong.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, the Geelong
There's a
scene is
load of
huge,
Geelong,
right?
Yeah.
The Geelong guys are great.
Yeah. I mean, all
you
our
know.
competitions are in Geelong.
Yeah.
Our entire competitive scene is Geelong. It's nowhere
Yeah.
else.
Yeah, I don't know what the hell's going on there, because it used to be 50-50.
Yeah.
I remember a time when it was like, oh, this weekend it's Melbourne, this weekend it's
Yeah.
Geelong, and back and forth, and like you'd have some here and there, like in between. But now it's just like, anyone want to go to Geelong? Like,
Yeah,
do
pretty
do
much.
no offense, Geelong, but do we have to?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, 100%.
It's a drive, guys.
Oh yeah, it is.
But the community at large, like, have been around for like so long. But it's like a lot of those guys have influenced me and how I behave to new players, and or people even looking at getting into the hobby. It's like, oh, I'm not sure. It's like, well, pick up this box set, pick up those paints, sit down with me. Here's a cup of water and a plastic plate. Let's paint. You know.
Yeah.
By the way, this
See
is
how you
how
go.
they- And then it's like, well, they finished painting. Yeah, cool. Here's a couple of here's some dice. This is the basic rules.
Yeah.
And because that's like, other than that one game with Duke, like that's how I was taught. Like these are the very basics. Let's have some fun. Who cares about what the real rules are? We'll work on them later. So that's how
Yeah.
I teach guys now. Like, you know, my friend David, for instance, he was just interested. I'm like, here's mine. Here's some dice. Let's roll some games. Do you like it? Yeah, sure. And then next thing I know is he's got his own army.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we did a
we're
similar
essentially
thing.
just pushers at this point.
Yeah.
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 It's like plastic crack.
Plastic crack.
First one's free.
Yeah. And the rest will consume your life.
But yeah, so it's kind of interesting because, like, I think, yeah, so it was the reverse, I think. I think it was the Melbourne scene that's influenced the online side of things, and now the online side of things has taken over that, where it's like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
because that's what everything is these days. It's all
Well,
Damn
especially in the last
online.
couple of years.
Well, it's just easier, right? It's just so much easier.
well, you don't have to
it's-
send 20 text messages out going to, hey, does anyone want a game?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
I'll make one post, see who bites.
Yeah.
Which, you know, and it's like, oh, okay, well, I played that guy last time, I didn't have fun, but like the next guy under, I've never played before.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, and with things like TTS and stuff as well, it makes us, makes everything so much easier. And people always take it easier, but there's nothing better than actually having a group where you can come together. And I always still think the local will drive it hard, but it's interesting to hear that it's good to hear that there is not a disconnect between how the local scene operates. And I understand that obviously we haven't really had a local scene for 2 years, but prior to that,
One day it will
maybe.
return.
Well, even
that
you
there-
guys might have noticed that, like, even when we've had our brief, like, moments of normalcy, and I did that in air quotes, mind you.
Yep. Oh no, we knew.
Yeah.
The scene exploded.
Oh, absolutely. I mean,
Yeah,
Like it was every day. Like who's
Yeah.
after work? Who's after work? Like come into the
Yeah.
shop. Like this Saturday, let's Sunday. Like let's do this. And everyone just went nuts. And there's been so many really close knit friendships that have been born out of like the community, like in person. That has just been amazing. Like okay, yeah, you're speaking online. You've seen their paint jobs, blah blah blah. But like, hey, you want to meet up this weekend? Yeah, sure. Okay, I'm done. So the second I think where we are, as you guys said earlier on, like when you guys can start doing battle report, like bat reps and things like that again, and we can actually go to the shops again, it's going to explode.
Oh, it's gonna be.
Yeah,
this one's gonna
it's-
be nuts.
Yeah,
It's gonna be nuts.
And it puts a smile on my face thinking about it, even though I probably won't play. I'm still going to be that guy walking around the tables, like going, "What's going on? What are you guys doing?" Like,
well, I mean, it's something that always comes back to me, or I always come back to, is when I think about it, I go, well, I mean, the hobby, yeah, we've got it. We paint miniatures and play games and stuff, but at the end of the day, it's a social hobby.
yeah,
And the biggest part of it is meeting and playing with other people.
Yeah, for sure.
yeah. That's the other
Yeah.
side of things too. Is like, I forget the name of it, but like, you might be a bit socially awkward and a bit nervous to interact with that community, but after being
Right.
in a good online community that is supportive, and then you start recognizing certain names over and over again, being able to then feel comfortable enough to go out and socialize with them, if you can, makes it easier and kind of brings you out of your shell a little bit more. Like I've met some really nervous people, like super quiet, super shy. The minute they start rolling dice, though, completely change because they feel comfortable because they already know who they're talking to. They've already kind of gotten to meet them through group chats and things like that.
Yeah.
And it's really nice and refreshing to see this person who was like super shy, keeping quiet, just watching, going and start laughing as loud as they possibly can. Like that part of the community is amazing.
Yeah, 100%. And look, hey, when we do open up, mate, you'll just have to come over and play at the studio.
Yeah.
We'll force you to play.
You're gonna make me paint stuff, aren't you?
No. You just come and play. I mean, you can paint if you want, but
I mean, I'd have to paint my own things. Like, I've got 6,000 points of Blood Angels sitting in a box.
mate, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We're 9 armies complete with another 2 on the way, so you'll be fine.
Yeah. I'll get my Eldar out at some point, but they're all orange. Yeah, but like, that's the other thing too. It's like, one of the weirdest side of the community is, I guess, is what we do with the. I don't like the word YouTuber, but like
Content creator.
that one.
Yeah.
The content creators, like, you look at the UK, for instance, and obviously a lot of guys I follow there, and there's a few of us here in Melbourne as well.
There are,
Like, one of the things I look at is, like, like, you watch one video of Luke's and then Pickle Jars and things like that. They get together in the UK and they go and do things.
Yeah.
Or they collab on videos and things like that. And that's one of the things I look at here, just going, I know we're getting away from the community, but it's still kind of, it's a different side of it. Like, that's something I look at here going, I want to do that. Like, I want to pick up I want to pick up one of my GoPros, and I just want to get in the car, drive over, and then go, hey, where are we going today? Or what are we doing?
Yeah.
For
Let's
sure.
go buy a bunch of models, then go home and paint it and talk about it and then do it all live. Yeah.
Yeah, or like buy each other miniatures that we don't know what the other person's buying and force them to paint it.
With paints that, like, they don't like Tamiya
Yeah.
and stuff like that.
The other really cool thing is, like, you look. Do you guys know Viv from Knights of Dice?
No.
No?
That's the one
No.
I've come across,
Cool.
no.
Okay, so Melbourne guy as well. He's just did a 24-hour live stream. The charity.
Oh god.
Oh, was it? Yes, sorry. This was on the Heavy Metal page, right?
Yeah, they were
Yeah.
involved too.
Oh.
Yeah.
Like it was a massive collab. Like
Yeah.
you look at what the community is. That's the only thing you need to see.
Yeah.
Like for
Well,
charity.
Yeah,
I mean, look, we've got plans to get involved with that.
Yeah.
We've got plans to do a lot of things regarding the competitive scene because we both like the competitive scene quite heavily.
Yeah.
Yep.
And even on the competitive front, you know, with guys like Adam Camilleri and like that are kind of put Australians that are household names of the competitive scene that are Australian that help kind of shape it. That we're not just this thing that doesn't exist. And then the fact that the whole topic around the Australian meta and how different it is, and it's this kind of thing in and of itself, you know, that no one else really understands why and what it is. And I think it's really cool. It's super unique, and it makes me actually quite proud to be Australian hobbyist because it's something that's not just, you know, ITC America, UK. You know, it's something definitive and different. I think that's really awesome.
Yeah, I think you like in your last one with was it Tim? Am I getting his
with
name
Tim?
right?
Yeah.
The conversation like with like how he's running the tournaments and things like that, or at his shop and the guys doing the tournaments there. It's like I'm not a competitive person at like in that sense. Like I've never been to a tournament at all. I don't know how to write a superpower list kind of thing. To talk to one of them and get them to teach me, like I've always sat there and just gone, would that make good content? Like, would that show the community at large that there's a lot of work that goes into it, and you know,
100%. That would,
like,
man.
Yeah.
It would.
Yeah,
That's
for
the
sure.
answer to that question. 100%.
Yeah, no, I know there is. Like, I'm not like putting anything they do down. Like, I know there's a ton more work into it. Like, I do get it, but like, teach someone like me to do it. I'd love to see something like that as part of the community. Like one of those guys, not teaching the tricks that they know and things like that, but how to get into it.
Right. Taking someone who's never had that access and taking them through it all the way.
Because it can't, like, that side, I can't speak for that side of the community. I really cannot. But, like, the amount of new people who instantly want to jump into the competitive scene who have no idea how to even play 40k, it's like, okay, but how do you get, like, it's...
We were talking about this recently.
Yeah.
We had, Dalton and I had quite a...
Several quite extensive discussions.
Yeah, I wasn't gonna say heated, but a bit an in-depth discussion about this topic because it's a hard one to categorize for two reasons. One, because there is a little bit more of that separation, and I guess maybe negative personality kind of approach to competitive because, you know, the whole thing is to win, right? So there's a little bit more of that, you know, yes, do your research and da kind of thing. But then also at the same time, the game itself is kind of in a little bit of a weird state competitively. You know, it's in this little bit of a limbo between is it going towards the idea of a competitive sport like CS:GO, you know, that kind of esports level, or is it going to sit as like a competitive hobby thing? And it's like people want to take it one way, other people don't. Things like changing metas, hobby lag. It's, you know, there's so many compounding factors that can contribute to whether or not someone finds it easy or hard to fall into the competitive scene. Personally, I think one of the things that transitions it the best is doing it locally. So like in your local game group going, hey guys, I want to write my interpretation of a tournament list. Can we have like a tournament list day where we all just write like the most broken things we can and just see what happens, you know, because that's what we've done with our group, you know, and that's we've been quite successful to getting people to think a little bit more, you know, analytically and competitively when you start dealing numbers and hard tactics, and you know, then you need dealing with like coaching and those kinds of things, and that's a good way to transition people to do it if they're into it, I think.
Yeah,
it's all about, it's kind of like you're choosing how you want the community to work like that, and it sort of comes back to building that thing where people have the access, people can participate the way they want to in it without excluding anyone with it.
Yeah, that's what I was. I'll agree with you on that one. It's like, it's always been one of those. It's always been the side of the community that because I've never been involved in it. I know tons of people that are, but I've never had the nerve to kind of go, "Hey, teach me,"
Mm.
because I've always been like, kind of looking at it, going, "Are they going to be willing?" Like,
Yeah.
kind of a thing. Like, I guarantee you, they're absolutely some of the friendliest people on the planet. But like, are they? They're used to playing hardcore players, I guess. Like,
Yeah.
are they going to want to play an absolute noob like me and put up with my crap until I get to a point where they're like I can keep up with them? I've literally got a mate around the corner from me who's like that. Like, not like that, but like a tournament player. Like, if I asked him, "Hey, help me out," I'm not sure if he would or not. You're like, I would hope.
That's a shame.
Like, I'm not 100% sure, because I've always been nervous to ask the tournament guys that kind of questions, because like, but is there a way of, like, I don't know where I'm going with this.
Like bridging the gap, basically.
Yeah, like,
You're trying to-
is there a middle ground between the two communities? I think there is.
I think there is. I think there
Why-
definitely is.
How to make it new person friendly, is always been something that it's like, I've kind of encouraged new players to be like, don't worry about the competitive scene just yet, learn the rules. Like,
Well, yeah.
I don't want you getting
that's-
squashed like a bug and then not be interested in this game whatsoever.
And that's exactly what happens, and that's what's bad about it. So I think I reckon that's the best bit of advice anyone can give anyone, especially when being a new player to the game and being a new player to the competitive scene are two different things. If you try and do both at once, you're gonna have a bad time. Just bottom line,
Yeah, like, I mean, no disrespect to any of the tournament players who are listening to this. Like, reach out to me, hit me up, teach me. But like, yeah, it's always been one of those things. Like, I've seen a lot of new people in the community just go, "Oh yeah, how do I be like competitive?" Like, especially with NIDS, like, it's like nearly the second most asked questions. Like, how do I write a competitive list? Like, you can't. NIDS isn't like that right now.
Locky can definitely teach a few things about some getting NIDS as busted as you can make them.
Yeah, but like, right now, it's like the number one answer is like, have you got money for Forge World?
Oh, it is. It's there's pretty much one. There's two builds. There's two builds, and that's it.
Yeah.
Both of them are like super heavy Forge World.
Yeah,
and
me on the other hand, I'm the type of person who'll bring a rogue list.
Yeah.
Like, completely random, no idea.
You find that as very common. I mean, the guy who came third in the normal blokes GT in Queensland.
Completely out of left field.
Yeah.
Like, what was that?
Well, it was a joke. Let's just pick one. Let's pick one data sheet of every.
But no one knew how. But like, it was one of those things where like no one knew how to deal with it in a way.
Yeah. And that's the fun part of the meta, right? Is that and that's what I've been doing, experimenting with. Like, I'm now I've put ever since the leaks came out that realistically the NIDS aren't probably going to see their book until the end of 2022, if not after. Just sort of parked it entirely. But there's little parts where I played a game testing out. All right, let's just do a full flyer list, gargoyles and flyers. Just run the adaptation where all flyers in combat get -1, and let's see what. And then the regain wounds, and let's just see what happens. It's harpies, crones, harridans, and gargoyles.
Yeah, that's a list similar to what I wrote.
It was dumb, and it failed, but it was hilarious. And then just run like a weird biovore list. Let's run 18 biovores.
Like, it's me with Tau, right? I don't do the gun wall, the castle in the corner. I will load up devilfish and I will charge you and get out with 12 fire warriors and blast you in the face. Like, I don't care if you charge me.
Fish of Fury, they're back.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that was 4th edition. That was OG 4th edition Tau anyway.
The second I saw that, like, I've put 48 fire warriors on the table at one point. And
that's hilarious.
With Volcan, and is it Death? Oh, what's the character who gives you an extra rapid fire. Anyway, yeah, it was 122 shots.
That's
Like just me marching up the board, like almost Necron warrior style with fire warriors.
That's hilarious.
It's amazing.
Just because, and it was a joke, and it was
Mm.
probably the most fun I've ever had. And other people who were watching that game were like, "You can't do that with Tau. What is happening here?" Like,
Yeah.
it's like I've
But-
done it against Death Guard, like
But I mean,
Poxwalkers. Like no
we've
one knows how
s-
to deal with it.
Yeah, we've seen it heaps. I mean, not only here in Australia, like we said previously with
Yeah,
what happened at the Normal Blokes. Also, the nature of the Australian meta being so weird and different.
Yeah.
And then also, people like Richard Siegler who win a GT with Tau, where everyone's like, "What? How is that even possible?"
Yeah.
So
yeah, it's
there are-
those dudes. It's those dudes in the community that like I would love to pick their brain.
and it's fun though, man. Like, 'cause I love finding the anti-meta meta. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, not the thing that beats it from a meta point. Like, let's take the weakest thing or close to, and like find a way for it to work. And you just keep trying new things. It's being adaptive to change, right? Adaptive to change really quickly. And I that's one of the reasons why I like the competitive scene so much. It's not so much, let's play the best book and win. Like, yeah, that's great. Anybody can do that, but not anybody can play a list that is got the cards stacked against it, and then the army's got its cards stacked against it. Then you also play a weird list, and then you go 3 and 2.
Yeah,
And you run in like a Trigon Prime and 3 Morlocks or something like. I know, you know what I mean? Like, it's
I'm
just
just imagining that.
I know, right? It'd be hilarious. And then you just have like nothing on the board, and then all of a sudden you've just got Trigons and Morlocks in the back lines.
But like to tie that all back into the community, it's like that's what also the community is really good for. Like if you're in a good community that you can post the weirdest possible list that you think no one's got a clue, guarantee you 5 people go run it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
100%. Yeah,
Like there's those people that you might doubt yourself. Oh, this is crap. I'm not going to. Blah blah blah. But if like there's gonna be those people who are just like give that a shot, see how you go. Like that encouragement is probably what I'm trying to say here.
Yeah.
You
That
wouldn't get that
encouragement to
otherwise.
participate.
No.
Just to participate with whatever crazy ideas you've got and just to have fun.
Yeah,
It's
like
yeah.
like if you were just doing pen and pencil, like I wrote this list, now I've gone to a shop and just got wiped off the board. Like that's not going to be fun for you. But if like now that you can post it online, someone's going to look at that list and go, "Cool, try this with this list, like with the list you've written, but try using it this way." Like you might not have thought about that, and then all of a sudden you've got like this brilliant list, and without the community behind you giving you that idea, like yeah, you'd be kind of lost or not enjoying yourself as much, I guess.
And that's how it was. I remember writing lists on pen and paper. I remember, doing the hobby when you did the painting tutorials were out of White Dwarves before the internet, before YouTube, before any
I
of that.
still have old school White Dwarfs with Space Wolf when they first came out with like the new Space Wolves.
Yeah, right.
With the old GW paint list when it transferred to the new stuff in the back. Like it had the name changes and all that.
Yeah.
I've sat there and I've crossed out all the old
Skull
paint
White.
names.
Instead
Yeah,
of White
I've crossed
Scar.
them all
Yeah.
I've crossed them all out and written the new paint names and all that.
Vomit
Yeah.
Brown and
Yeah.
I remember all that. Yeah, it was good.
I've got a set of those paints around somewhere.
Yeah.
Do you?
Yeah, I do. One of the old Star Citizen paints.
But like without that community now, it's like like I think I'm one of the only people still like one of the only people I know that actively still reads and collects White Dwarf.
Yeah, I definitely don't anymore.
I tried for a while.
Yeah.
Oh, it's just me, I think. But like, if you're not, then yeah, the online communities are definitely like that is the model and equivalent of your
DOG.
White Dwarf.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was.
Like-
yeah. Or it is.
There used to be army lists in White Dwarf. It's like, oh, this is the like they still do battle reports written down, but it's not as I don't want to say as good, but like
Not as in depth and
not as in depth
Yeah.
list wise.
the OG Bat Reps, and then the OG Army showcases, and the painting. It was just so good.
Yeah.
It was such good content. And look, maybe there's a little bit of bias there because that's all we had, and you know, that's where I'm kind of like, it was so good when I actually look at it going, probably actually wasn't that great. You know, as in like.
These young whippersnappers don't understand. They've got it so easy with their communities now.
Which is
so that's
100% fact, though. It is.
Right.
It is. But it's not a bad thing.
No,
it isn't. I
it's
think it's
brilliant.
a great thing. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Because
it's fantastic.
it's more now. It's more inclusive. Anyone can pick up a box online. Anyone can join in a group and get help straight away. You know.
Yeah.
And actually, to that point, if there's anyone listening that's not part of these groups, go be part of them.
Yeah.
You know, Google whatever it is, the faction that you play on. Sorry, search it on Facebook, or you know, any of them from your local area. Don't do what I did when I first started and joined buy sell groups that are not from your country.
Yeah.
Because that's always a bit weird when you're like, yeah, bro, I want it. Where are you? Australia. They're like, what? No.
Yeah.
We get that in the NIDS group. Like, it's like, oh, I'm looking for these bits. It's like, mate, find the local buy swap sell page for you, please.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, you're not buying it. You're in the US. You're not buying off someone in Germany. Like, it's not gonna happen.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry. You keep going.
No. It's fine. So yeah, all I'm going to say with that is go be part of the community, because you know, compared to say the other communities out there, like the gaming one, the tabletop 40k community, as you said as well, Billy, especially here in Melbourne, it's amazing. It really is absolutely amazing, and there's a lot to be taken advantage of. And also, you know, I do believe everyone can contribute. You know, whether or not you think you can or can't, you probably can. Opinions matter as long as they're said in the right way.
Yeah,
for completely. Sure. Like, no one... I cannot remember the last time someone was, like, actively excluded. You know, like, everybody is welcome. Especially in the Melbourne Warhammer 40k group. Can I just start listing groups? Like, it's one of those things. It's like
100%.
It's like
list a bunch of them if people want to get involved. Look
like
up some of these on Facebook.
Yeah, look them up. Like, okay, you've got Warplings. You've got the Melbourne group. You've got. I'm not sure how. I'm not really active in the House of War side of things down in Ringwood. Like, I was at one point, but I haven't been to date too active. You've got the Citadel Fanboy guys. They're down in the Ringwood side of things too. They're really quite active. You've got Warplings. You've got the guys over at Werribee. My local store that I go to, it's not really local, but I still go there anyway. You've got us over at Midian.
Yeah, Midian and Guff, right? They're like the two big ones.
Midian, we're really trying hard. Like, the group is fantastic. Like, we're all in one giant group chat and we just blast each other all day with random stuff. Like, we had I don't know if you guys know what Letterkenny is, but we had a massive Letterkenny meme war the other day.
No idea what that is, no.
Oh, dude, it's Canadian comedy. It's hilarious. But, like, that side of the community, Guff Werribee.
Werribee,
That's the one I'm in, at least. The community there is fantastic.
Yeah, I'm actually that's really good.
Yeah, the guys are great. Again, Ringwood, your side of the things, just because it's your side of town, I'm not too active down that way. Like, you probably know better groups than I do.
You got Ringwood. You've got I believe the southeast suburbs group as well for Melbourne.
Yeah, and they all intersect. Like, we all intersect within each other. Like, everyone's
You'll join 3 of these groups and see, like, a bunch of the same people in a whole load of them.
Yeah, and that's what's awesome. Like,
but even, like, stores, you know, like the General Games in Malvern and Frankston, they're pretty epic with regular nights. I think it's like Tuesday nights and Saturdays. You can just go and have a game. You know, you organise it with whoever and just take your stuff and do it. And and it's just so good about, you know, the internet, where you can just message them on Facebook and go, "Is there a table free?" Or you know, even all this stuff. It's just so easy.
For that matter, down Bayside, where we've got our own club that we do stuff with.
Yeah.
Which is all set up through me set up
Discord.
through the Facebook group, and then we set it up through Discord. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
There's
like, no, go. Sorry.
I was just going to say that there's all sorts of groups around, and yeah, like just we'll put all these in the link all these in the description that we've mentioned so far as well. So if you're in any of these areas or anything like this, you can jump down there and check them out.
And the fun thing too is like, even if you're not into 40k, you know, if you post, hey, I play this or I play that, like, is anyone interested? Like, you probably get like 5 responses more.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Like, it's just one of those things. Like, I know people, I've never played, I want to, but I know people who play Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
Like,
Do you
I
want
know
it
that
though?
yeah, I want to give it a shot. Damn you, Lachlan, over at Zorp. But like, that's one of the cool things about these communities too. It's like, yeah, are you into playing war, like AOS, Warcry, Kill Team? Is it Flames of War?
Well, Infinity's quite big
yeah.
here too.
And I was
isn't
going
it?
to say,
Dalton?
Infinity.
Flames of
And
War,
Infinity's
Infinity,
huge because that's
It's
what
come
we're
back.
getting into. Yeah, we're getting into that quite heavily.
So Infinity was massive years ago, completely dropped off my radar, and a few people, and then now all of a sudden I keep hearing it every other day.
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
what happened? Like, I nearly bought the starter box for, like, the starter sets for these. Like, when did this come back?
Do it.
Yeah. Do they still have those robot-looking dudes?
There's a lot of robot-looking dudes. The
a lot of-
miniature line is absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like Necromunda and things like that. Just, yeah, most of these groups cater for everybody. It's not just like you have to play 40k.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you just need, like, at least with the way the groups are and how welcoming and friendly they are, which is fantastic, you can just ask. Or better yet, if you don't even have the miniatures for that game, I guarantee you'll find someone who'd be like, I've got 2 armies, I've got 2 sets of this,
Oh yeah.
I'll
Easy.
bring
For
them,
sure.
I'll teach
Or
you.
and then even on top of that, you know, connecting on Discord or something like that and joining a group, TTS.
Yeah.
You know, build the community that way as well. You know, we do that as well. We always encourage people, if because of lockdowns here in Melbourne, if you can't get games, come join our Discord and play TTS with us. Because between 1 and 5 games are always played throughout the whole week, and the weekends are bonkers.
Oh,
2 or 3
sure.
games happening every Friday or Saturday. So, you know,
And when you're building that type of community on that side of things, it will translate into in person.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And that's what you want.
Yeah, for sure.
So, you know, there's so many ways to get involved, and, you know, I always want to encourage more people to reach out and do it, because, you know, if anyone reached out to me and said, hey, can I be part of that? I'll be like, hell yeah, like, sign here. Let's go.
Yeah.
Yeah, what was it? When I very first saw your guys' post, I reached out to you and went, hey, this is fantastic. I'm loving it.
Yeah.
You know,
Awesome. Thanks, man.
like, that was out of nowhere. Like, I was like, I'm going to get ignored here, but, like, you know, keep going for it. Like, you know, post as much as you like. Because, again, I wasn't doing it.
Yeah.
You know, not many people were. So it's like, go nuts. Build
Yeah,
that
no,
community,
that's-
help push it forwards. Like, that's the thing I love seeing, is people coming out of nowhere going, hey, this is what we're doing. I'm like, great, here's all the support you like. Like,
And
how can I help?
And we've seen that massively from all the people that have reached out to us since going like live with our VAT reps, and now the podcast of people that want to get involved with what we're doing. From like, you know, companies that are doing painting, terrain, you know, just building that cohesive community, because that's what we want to do. Is we want to be the forefront of developing the wargaming scene and community to be this stronger, tight-knit group that sits on the world stage compared to the UK, compared to the US, and really kind of cements ourselves as that, you know, big cohesive unit, you know, across games, across, you know, painting, gaming, competitive, terrain, whatever, you know.
And the biggest thing that we've found in doing all this and having people reaching out to us and all that kind of stuff is that people want to, and the community does want to come together, and for the most part, everyone involved is fantastic and wants to be wants to have a large community, wants to include everyone, and wants to make it a better place for everyone to hobby.
Like, I'm sorry if this has probably been asked before, but like, how long have you guys actually been doing 40k or any form of tabletop stuff?
I mean, individually, I think Locky's had the longest experience with a bit of a few dark years in the middle.
I think it's a bit longer than a few. So I think overall for me, I think it's like 10 years, and then actually no, it probably wouldn't be that long. Maybe 8. It's about 6. I think it was from age 7 to like 13, 14. So probably 7 years there, and then now 3 years since, and then between 14 there's about a 10-year gap there. So that's sort of been, but it's hard because like there's so much stuff in my experience is just not really relevant. One, because of it so long ago when you were a bit more of a kid, but then also just the game and the community and everything has changed so drastically. And then other tabletop, not really much. It's, you know, my experience with that is 12 months, Infinity, and you kind of like really trying to branch out now because there is so much more available.
Yeah.
The only reason I asked that question is because like we're talking about communities, and if you have had that massive gap in between then to now, like the fact that, where am I going with this? Who knows? But more along the lines of like you would have noticed a community change at some
huge
point.
Yeah, well there is a community now, right? Like I don't.
Right.
The communities from when I was a kid, it was just Games Workshop.
You'd have to hunt them down.
No, not even. It was just Games Workshop stores.
Oh, okay.
That was pretty much it. You know, when I was 9 years old, it was the city in Chadstone. It's kind of really it because you just you know you didn't really have. You know, it's weird if a 9-year-old just rocks up to a store and is like, "Oh, I want to hang out on a Thursday night." You know what I mean? So
but I mean, like, in the time between all then, like, the communities themselves have
massive change.
Massive. They've come out of nowhere, and like I said, you can be 9-year-old now as long as like you are aware that you're going to be in a group with adults. Like, but most people will be really polite to you anyway.
100%.
One of the things that with some of the questionnaires that we put for the joining, especially in the Tyranid side of things, like I get a lot of, I'm only joining because of my 6-year-old daughter, or just to get some help, or I'm painting with my 2 kids, I just need some help or some guidance. It's like, welcome.
That's awesome.
Like, you know, jump on in. Like, probably couldn't have done that ages ago, but like now it's a bit more of an active thing. So again, another positive to the gigantic community that exists is being able to do stuff like that now, where everyone, doesn't matter what age you are, is welcome.
I mean, I think I think on that positive note, I might try and wrap things up. It's been a bit of a long one today. We've sort of gone right into a lot of these things.
My apologies.
No, don't apologize.
I will talk,
man. I love it. We always go into every app going, all right, we're going to try and keep it closer to an hour.
Yeah.
And then everyone, it's just gone longer and longer. Because it's just, there's so much to talk about. So, you know, it's like, why not? Like, if people
I think
willing
we're also
to
like
listen.
a bit struggling for the fact that we haven't had too much human interaction recently.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Take what we can get.
Yes.
It's like nerd conversations, yes, please.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, thanks. Yeah, I'll let you wrap it up and go to bed.
But yeah, so if anyone's listening and you're not part of these communities and stuff, go check them out. It's a fantastic place to be. We've got a bunch of links down in the description of YouTube and wherever you're listening to this, so check them out. And you can always come and check out our Discord as well, which will be down there as well. We're building our own bit of a community there. It's going really well. We've got loads of people being involved there. We've got regular hobby streams happening at the moment as well, which is just great. So thank you Billy, for coming on, and make sure everyone to check out Greater Good So what's called precisely Greater Good Miniature Gaming over on YouTube. You've got some fantastic videos up there, not just 40k related, but hobby as a whole. You mentioned this.
No. Thank you for having me on. It's been having a great chat. I am being really lazy with the videos though. I think it's been like a month and a bit since I uploaded the last one. But yeah, thanks for the chat, guys. I really appreciated you having me on. Yeah.
No, it was great. It was really good to get your perspective on a few things, and we've had a chat. We've got some things lined up in the future, and we'll be happy to have you on again, man.
Oh, yeah. It's the perspective of a crazy person, but yeah, sure. Like I'm mad as a hatter.
Still valid.
But yeah. But yeah, thanks guys. I've really enjoyed it. It's been a blast.
It really has.
I'll come back if you want me to. If your fans want me to, I'll come back as well.
Oh, awesome.
Well, yeah. Thank you so much. We'll definitely want you to have you back on. And thank you to everyone for listening through to this point, and we hope to see you guys next week.
Awesome. See you, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.